and Chacha, who's our wakili. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me tonight to discuss about this amazing, yet another provoking topic. And just before we step right into it, looking at the figures as compiled by Haki Africa, I'm looking in front of me as of tonight, or today rather, the total number of people killed the year 2021 stands at 40. That is inclusive all over the country. The total number of people who have disappeared since the beginning of 2020 stands at 27. 21 from the coastal region and then 6 from the rest of the country. This, of course, is in comparison to the total number of killings. The year 2020 stands at 43, 2019 stands at 59, and 2018 stands at 54. If anything, we are looking at least 3 months before the end of the year, and the number already stands at 40 compared to last year's 43. So if history or trajectory is anything to go by, or of course even estimates, then we are anticipating, God forbid, a rise in the number. Correct, Zainab?
Yes, definitely.
Why would that be the case?
Because of the trend, because of the current situation, whatever we are witnessing, like whatever happened just yesterday evening, we had a youth, 22-year-old Asanak, being shot at from a balcony. So if such cases repeat, then it means many people are going to die from their homes.
Zainab, together with Haki Africa, you have been following keenly on such matters, and I'm just looking at the figures right now from missingvoices.or.ke, and I'm looking at 834 total number of killings, 222 enforced disappearances, according to Missing Voices. But again, I'm here to get deep details on the period where all these happened. Zainab, in your opinion, in your analysis, trends, why is this happening?
I would say that the actors know exactly why they're doing it. But if we speculate why, number one, impunity encourages this kind of atrocities to continue, because most cases, we've only just seen this year where the security actors are being prosecuted, those who are culpable, being prosecuted in court, a few convictions here and there. But if you look at the records, not 100%, but some of those who are being targeted either have previous criminal records, or their cases ongoing in court, or some are just defending human rights, like lawyer Will Kimani. So you can't exactly tell why. But number one, if you're looking at the trends, we see there's somehow criminalization of poverty, if I may say. Sometimes extortion happens, and if there's any disagreement, then they decide to do what they do. Extortion
from whoever is doing it? Is it the security agencies, whoever?
Security agencies, and if we are talking about enforced disappearances, unfortunately, up till now, we don't have a specific law in this country criminalizing enforced disappearances. So it happens with impunity. People come, they take you up, they abduct you, they're not uniformed, but the manner in which they do it suggests that they are from the security agencies.
Interesting enough, and that's how I'm going to loop in Furqan Chacha. This has been your forte for a very long time now, Bona Wakili, and you've been traversing the country trying to protect those people who, quote unquote, may not be able to afford proper legal fees and good representation for as far as such cases is concerned, Wakili. For how long will you keep on doing this, Wakili, before I get to the next question? So that's my preempting question.
Yeah, in as long as it is necessary, I believe, even if it's not myself, somebody else will have to step in and continue making the follow-ups. You see, as an advocate, I'm committed towards developing jurisprudence so that we can live as per the provisions of our constitution. so that we do not just leave our constitution to be words on paper without any value.
Interesting
So
enough,
it's quite
Wakili.
necessary, and it has to be followed up.
Good. Two things, Wakili, because you say that especially and a custodian of the law, of course, being an officer of the court, you're living to ensure that at least that our constitution is not just a piece of paper. But just as mentioned, of course, she preempted my question, we still don't have laws for as far as enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killing is concerned. And that's why I asked you, for how long will you keep on doing this?
You see, we do not have specific legislation, but in the periphery, we have a constitution that speaks out loudly on the Bill of Rights and fundamental rights. So it's just a matter of us implementing the constitution and all state apparatus confining themselves to the provisions of the constitution. But unfortunately, I don't know if it's out of frustration, but there is no room for security agencies to act out of the law.
Wakili, to my understanding, of course, in addressing the long kind of push and pull that you have been having together with other actors, both state and non-state, by non-state actors, the Muslim leadership, Subkem, Namlef, Jamia Mosque, et al, Haki Africa being the champions on the activism side on these enforced disappearances. I understand that you had a meeting yesterday at the Kenya Arab Friendship Society Hall to discuss such matters. Would you mind just looping us in on some of the things that you discussed, and especially the actionable items, Wakili?
Yeah, I got summoned by the Muslim leadership that found that this particular pandemic has gone overboard, and they needed to get the facts, the statistics, so that a plan of action can be put in place. Because the community feels that this particular misbehavior should not be entertained any further. So having supplied the data, and Haki Africa came in handy. So it was found that if this particular pandemic is not put to a halt, then it will eventually consume all of us. So, and unfortunately, as the deliberations were ongoing, that's when also the abduction of Abdul Wahab came up. So it was just an issue of adding salt into injury. And there was need to have immediate action. And that's why the leadership sought an audience with the DCI. And at least we have a feedback and hope some action will be taken. Not just empty promises, but we will need to see action.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much, Furqan Chacha. And I want to leap you in, Zainab, before we go on and watch that clip on what happened today earlier on. Of course, you were there. I'm going to get first that insert, and then we get your reaction. But before we get into that, would you describe yesterday's meeting and today's involvement from the Muslim community as a knee-jerk reaction?
Not
in your own words, of course, coming from the school of thought that you guys have been working on such cases day in, day out. It's your bread and butter, basically, right? So do you, like, define whatever is happening, whatever the Muslim community did and the leadership did as a knee-jerk reaction?
I think it was a timely intervention. For a while now, Haki Africa has been on the ground, and we've also come out very loudly in media to speak about this thing, because we are trying, as much as trying to assist families to access justice, we are also sharing information to those not yet affected to take note that this thing is happening. You never know who is next. If we don't take action, tomorrow it might be your brother, it might be your father, it might be your son.
Why do you say it's a timely intervention, given the fact that in 2020 we had 43, 2019 59, 2018 54, currently we are standing at 40, and now is when you're acting. This has been going on. And correct me if I'm wrong, over 80% of the victims of such cases are Muslims.
I'm saying it's a timely intervention by the Muslim leadership.
Exactly. So why?
Because Haki Africa has been on the ground following up on these things.
Precisely.
But for a while now, the leadership has been silent. And we appreciated when they started these discussions and started realizing that really, if their voice is not heard, then we are heading to a very difficult times.
So it's a timely one, it's not a knee-jerk reaction?
No. It's a timely reaction, and we agreed that we are going to sustain these efforts until these things are put to an end.
That is what you agreed yesterday.
Thank you.
We want to understand the structures and the strategies that you have put in place to ensure that this thing is put to an end. But before we get into that, let's watch earlier on the Muslim leadership after yesterday's deliberation at the Kenya Arab Friendship Society Hall. They decided, as part of the things, the actionable items moving forward, was going to have a meeting or march to the DCA headquarters in Kiambu Road, Nairobi, and have a discussion with the Director of Criminal Investigation, Bwana George Kinoti. Let's listen to what they had to say after the meeting.
As you've heard from the chair of the delegation, we were here today and we're very grateful. We met the DCI himself, and we made it very clear that all Kenyans must have their rights respected. None of us condones insecurity of any crime. None of us condones crime or terrorism in any way. It is very wrong for any state operative to treat any section of the community guilty before they are proven, guilty before they are proven to be so. So we are very happy with how the meeting went. The DCI has committed himself on the case of Abdi Wahab Sheikh that he will personally follow up the matter to ensure the truth comes to light. And we as individual leaders in our respective institutions, religious and human rights institutions, want to communicate very clearly that the country has a very strong Bill of Rights. We have a constitution, and that constitution must be promoted and protected. The security agencies are responsible for ensuring security of every individual. So where it is not the security forces who are behind criminal activities such as abductions, then they have a duty and responsibility to equally follow up to ensure those who are behind those criminal acts are brought to book. So we will continue engaging, we will continue following up. We are the watchdogs of the community, we are the voices of the community, and we will not relent. For those who are behind these atrocities, we want to assure them that we shall not relent. Kenya belongs to all of us, and we will continue to safeguard the rights and fundamental freedoms of every individual wherever they are.
Alhamdulillah, I'm thankful to my brothers here. They've taken a great initiative in their time to make sure that justice is for all Kenyans. And we Muslims are part, and we are wholly Kenyans. We should remember that. We are no different. I think in my case, if our family was from Lamu, then we are buried more than 500 years in Lamu. So we have the right to demand. My brother, my cousin brother, an ambulance driver for the government of Kenya, was abducted in near Mkulumbi, that is Wito village, on the Lamu County, on the 19th of June, saa 8. And since his abduction, the vehicle was a GK, and the people who are uniformed, that was all witnessed by many, and his vehicle was towed later to Beketoni police station. Until to date, and we have cases in Malindi court and Lamu court, they are being summoned to produce him. We said if he is guilty, he should be produced. And if he's not, then we should be told where he is. And the answer is nowhere. But today, I think the DCI, he has confirmed that he's going to go personally and check into all this and report back to us.
Thank you so much, Suleiman Achazov, for that insert. I mean, it's a very touching story to lose a loved one. I cannot imagine that. I cannot imagine that. I just have to pick up from the executive director. Haki Africa executive director Hussein Khalid came out and said that the DCI said that he was happy with the meeting. Zainab, you have been part and parcel of such meetings. Just quickly before we break for the Adhan, for how many times have you been given such an assurance by some of these state actors on such a matter?
Of course, I can't count. We can't count.
Why? Because it's too little or too many?
Too many, of course.
Too many times.
But you see, what matters is we are doing something.
So my follow-up question on that is, what's going to be different this time?
The difference this time is sustainability. We are going to ensure this campaign, we are making it as a campaign, that it will last until we see a difference in our community. For too long, we've had ad hoc press conference.
That's precisely fine. Before we get to that, because I mean, I'm coming up with, like, I have questions for that, but the assurance that was issued today by the DCI, as you've said before, you've had it too many times. In your own analysis, in your own opinion, you were there, you're part of the delegation. Did you ask what's going to be different this time from the previous promises?
I personally didn't. Of course, I let the director have audience and all. But as I said, it is one thing to assure and it is another to implement that assurance. And so for that, I cannot comment further because that is the responsibility of the DCI. It is his word. So we will take him to task according to what he said, according to what he promised. But what I can promise you from our end is that we are going to sustain this advocacy, we are going to sustain the human rights awareness to such a point where each individual in this Kenyan community understands that they have an individual responsibility to defend human rights, not just for themselves, but for community at large. And not just for Muslims, but for human beings in this country.
Wow, thank you. We're going to go for a very short break, but my brother Furqan Chacha, in the meantime, few things that are coming your way, few hard-hitting stones are coming your way. Impunity, prosecution of security actors, bail, poverty, and the lack of legislation. And some of the things that my sister here, Zainab Kombo, mentioned as we were starting the conversation as part of the reasons as to why some of these things are happening. Prepare yourself with answers to that. I'm going to get back to you after we pay our bills. That is in a very short time. It's 45 minutes past 7 p.m. on the 10th of September right on Horizon TV. Please do not touch that dial because when you get back, I want answers. I hope you do too, because you need to get them tonight from these two great, amazing panelists in the studio tonight. Going on a very short break, but again, we're going to be back. Tumbo, take it away. Bills, let's take the Adhan and then we...
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah. أشهد أن لا إله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله